Disclaimer: some of the content shown in this video may make you uncomfortable. Viewer discretion is advised. Sometimes I feel that the most obscure chapters that can happen in DVD won't probably happen in DVD. Even potential chapters where the license holder of said license made it very clear that they would like to see their licensed character in game. I guess we all just gotta hope and pray that we see our beloved chapters one day. Even as obscure or underrated these potential chapters may be, it still anticipates me to hopefully see a chapter that I can finally check off my never gonna happen list. With this anniversary coming, which happens to be somewhat as suspenseful as the 4th anniversary, I figured I would dive right in and let you know just some underrated chapters I want to see in DVD. Manhunt.
Where were your family when you were facing your final moments in the chamber anyway? You've left your old life, your old self. I'm all the family you need now.
One of the most controversial games ever made, which is why I will probably never make it to DVD, but of course I still want to see. This game was my first love when it came to not only horror games in general, but stealth games as well. I was so fascinated by how much harm you can inflict on another human, which felt kinda real. I guess that's what makes Manhunt so disturbing after all, though it can be deeper than that. In Manhunt, you play as James Earl Cash, a death row inmate who was given a second chance of life by Lionel Starkweather, a greedy snuff film director. This second chance of life is guaranteed to be Cash's most brutal experience as he kills his way through gangs to find out who's really behind this snuff film ring that he so happens to be the main star in.
They're going to be screaming your name, boy. Mark my words.
This game will forever be iconic, and I think it will fit in with DVD pretty well. Considering Manhunt is a stealth survival horror game, I can see Cash having perks that rely on stealth and maybe even an ambush stun. In Manhunt, you pick up bricks and throw them at hunters to stun them, then execute them in the process. In DVD's case, since you can't execute killers, this can just result in Cash being able to throw a brick at the killer which stuns them, and then that gives him a chance to run. I guess it could work just like Diversion in a way. I can see the killer being Pigsy, who is Starkweather's former snuff film star that he keeps locked in his mansion. Pigsy is pretty terrifying in Manhunt, so I can see him being even scarier in DVD. The only issue is that Pigsy has a chainsaw, and I don't really know any other way a chainsaw killer can work in DVD. We already have 2, so to have 3 killers whose main power is the chainsaw might be a bit redundant, unless for some reason Pigsy's chainsaw doesn't insta down and his power can have something to do with mobility and stealth, which will be more faithful to Manhunt. I can see the map finally taking us to a mansion, not this mansion, but Starkweather's mansion, which Pigsy was locked up in. The map in the game has a pretty disturbing ambience as Cash is finally on the brink of taking down who's behind the snuff film ring for good, so we think. Starkweather's mansion in DVD would be a neat addition to the chapter I feel may never happen, but cheers to hoping I guess. It would be cool if Behavior and Rockstar decided to give us a Manhunt chapter, because I'm certain it will be a chapter that's both faithful and amazing. Splatterhouse.
Quit whining. Did I say it was gonna be fun? You're gonna have to learn to love the pain. There's a lot more of it to come.
Speaking of brutality, this game does a ruthless job showing you just how bloody it could get. As you punch, bash, slice and dice your way to save your girlfriend Jenny, watching blood fill your screen till it looks like it's about to burst out of your TV, Splatterhouse is a bloody, disgusting fun time. It follows Rick Taylor and his girlfriend Jenny, who go to this mansion where Jenny wants to interview this psychotic doctor, that being Dr. Henry West, who is the owner of the mansion, who's also obsessed with Jenny and decides to kill Rick and kidnap his girlfriend. As Rick is quote-unquote dying, an exotic ancient looking mask starts persuading Rick to put the mask on and getting inside his head to get revenge on the doctor and save his girlfriend. I don't think I need to explain why this game fits in DVD, but I do find Rick Taylor very interesting. I say this because he can be a survivor, but he can also be a killer. In the game, he brutalizes hordes of creatures and monsters to get to his girlfriend, but the reason why Rick is so remorselessly brutal is not only because of his urge to save his girlfriend, but because the mask he has on is his inner demon. It takes control of Rick's body and actions, killing creatures in the most brutal way possible. Most of the kills he does with his bare hands, even the most uncomfortable ones. I think it would be interesting if the entity decided to take his girlfriend Jenny, and the only way for him to get his girlfriend back is by sacrificing survivors for the entity. I see his power being somewhat similar to Oni's, where the more Rick injures survivors, the more his power gauge will fill. Once the power gauge fills up, Rick can transform into his Zero form. In the Zero form, I could see something insane happening where Rick can break Volt interactions and pallets within range with a heavy power attack, a dash attack, and increased speed for transversal around the map. I can see the map being the mansion of Dr. Henry West that Rick died in, quote unquote. In the game, it does take you to many other creative locations where it's likely to be filled with blood and guts, but I still enjoyed playing it for the design part and not just for the gore. If the devs were considering this license, which is very unlikely, it will most likely just be a paragraph with Rick Taylor as a killer. I say this because the core enemies you run into in this game are way too huge. Plus, I just like the idea of Rick killing anyone in his way to have his girlfriend in his arms once more. This game is a hidden gem. If you like beat 'em ups with a lot of blood and an overall fun time, please play this game. It's really addicting and will be a random yet interesting addition to DVD.
Save her. If you show me some faith, if you trust me, if you put me on.
Gears of War.
Okay, get out of here. We gotta get fucking out of here, man.
Oh my god.
I feel like this would be one of the most obscure chapters to ever happen in DVD if the devs ever considered it. Gears of War just has that gritty atmosphere that doesn't hesitate to put you in uncomfortable situations that will leave you on the edge of your seat.
Nice.
I don't know the lore too well, but what interests me in having this chapter in DVD is the aesthetic of the game and the power of General Rom, who is the High General of the Locust Army. The Locust Army, whom appear to be genetically altered humans. In the game, General Rom can control Krill, which are like these ravenous bat-like creatures that will eat you alive within seconds. However, they are extremely sensitive to light, so the player, who is Marcus Phoenix, the main protagonist and legendary war hero, must stay in the light in order to survive against the hordes of Krill in the sky. I really like the aesthetic of the Krill and their counter, and I think it can play a unique part in DVD. Imagine having the map pitch black similar to Nightfall and the sky is just filled with Krill. It can be this mechanic where there are 3 lanterns that spawn around the map that the 4 survivors can use to stay in the light. So that means every time this phase happens in game with General Rom, at least one survivor has to sacrifice surviving in the dark. When a survivor is in the dark for too long, the Krill will slowly eat at them, costing them a health state, and reveal their location to General Rom. Marcus Phoenix can bring a unique perk to the game where it allows him to spawn Jack into the trial. Jack is a friendly service bot in the Gears of War series. A viewer whose power concept was shown on the screen for General Rom came up with a really cool perk for Jack that I'll read to you here. Jack ripped the door. Jack is more than just a battle-hardened service bot. He is a family member, a friend. This perk summons Jack to the trial. Jack can open chests, pick up items, and bring them to you. Stop regressing generators, break breakable walls, pick up dropped pallets, and fixes broken pallets. Note, he can only fix 1 broken pallet. I find this perk really interesting, and I think it has potential to give DVD a breath of fresh air by how diverse this is. Sometimes I think behavior should really put concepts in the game that the community came up with. It's creative imaginations like these that I would like to see become a reality. Gears of War will be a great and fairly random chapter in DVD, but I think the game's aura can be presented pretty well within the realm of the entity. Last year. Last year, they resurrected asymmetrical horror game where high school students need to work together to escape from twisted themes that will
tear your soul apart.
I explained how much I love this game before because of its brutal executions and engaging gameplay, but how cool would it be if we were able to see a crossover with DVD? The problem about this is last year doesn't really have a main killer, so which killer would make an appearance in DVD? Why not the first three? That being the Strangler, the Slasher, and the Giant. The way I can see this working is that they will all need each other in some way. Similar to last year, the killers will have slow movement speed, so in DVD's case, Strangler would probably be around 3.8 ms, Giant would be 4.2 ms, and Slasher would be 4.4 ms. But they can all teleport freely like in last year, with minor cooldown. Strangler would be used to chain survivors and bring them close to him, similar to Deathslinger, but he needs to attack the survivor twice. Giant, if close enough, can pick up survivors and throw them. If the survivor hits collision, similar to Wesker, that's an insta down, but if they just hit the ground, that's a health state. Slasher can dash similar to Demogorgon's Shred, except it would inflict a deep wound status effect. I think it would be unique to have a 3-in-1 kind of killer where they're slow on their own but can mix their powers to create devastating combos. Like Strangler reeling in the survivor to swap into Giant and then throw them against the wall, resulting in an insta down. I think that would be pretty cool. I guess some survivor skins inspired from the survivors in last year can work because the survivors in last year pretty much have the same role and no lore. The map I could see finally being a high school map where of course the main setting is placed concerning its high school students. I guess the devs could add in a little Easter egg for a spider, like the baby spiders around the outside of the map similar to zombies in RPD, only because I don't see Spider being a part of the 3. I see Spider being a killer on its own with the potential to web up, throw up, and cling itself to survivors. But I favor the concept of bringing the first 3 original fiends all together in one. I always had this collaboration in mind considering last year and DVD are my top ASIM horror games at the moment. That's at least until this release. If you haven't played last year, you should definitely check it out. It's free on Steam if you don't have it already, and it's a pretty fun experience. I'm glad the game has returned, and I don't think it would be such a bad idea to consider this game as a licensed chapter in DVD, where you can also play as the first 3 original killers, or fiends I should say, within the realm of the entity. John Wick. John Wick is a man of focus, commitment, and pure will, thus his infamous nickname being the Baba Yaga. I'm pretty sure many of you know John Wick, but in case you don't, John Wick is a legendary hitman who you do not, I repeat, do not wanna fuck with. This man kills someone with a pencil, for crying out loud. A pencil. Anyway, John Wick is a force not to be reckoned with, and I couldn't help but think that he would be a fun addition in DVD. Yeah, John Wick would be running away, and that's not really his thing, but I would be curious to see what he can bring into the realm of the entity. In the movies, he's known to be quite immune to pain, considering he can literally fall off a whole building, get hit by a car or two, and still pounce back up swinging. In DVD's case, I can definitely see him playing like a tank role. I can see him having a perk that allows him to take more damage than he's supposed to for a certain amount of time. So something crazy can work where if John Wick stuns a killer like 5 times by any means, he can gain an extra health state. I would add something else to this kit, like him being able to bring a new item like a stun grenade, where it works like a flashbang, but instead of blinding the killers, it slows the killers down for a certain amount of time. DVD doesn't have a hitman in the game yet as a survivor, though for the killers it's most fitting, so I think John Wick would be a badass go-to for a survivor of that nature if the devs were ever considering. The franchise is a jaw-dropping non-stop action experience, and I think John Wick would be an intriguing entry in DVD. What are some of your underrated chapters that you would love to see that are not in DVD yet? Do you think that chapter has potential in being the anniversary for this year? Let me know down below. Love y'all, take care, and I'ma see y'all in the next one. Peace.